Welcome to today's exploration of attraction through the lens of Stoicism, a philosophy built not on control over others but on mastery over oneself. In this discussion, we uncover a psychological truth that most men overlook. Women are not drawn to men who chase, but to men who cannot be shaken. The calm, emotionally grounded man who moves with purpose and restraint becomes magnetic, not because he seeks attention, but because he doesn't need it. This isn't manipulation or a trick, it's emotional alignment. Stoicism teaches that power comes from detachment, from acting with reason rather than reaction. In relationships and attraction, this principle translates into confidence that feels effortless. When a man is centered, self-contained, and indifferent to external validation, he triggers curiosity and respect. Psychology confirms this. Emotional independence creates tension, and tension creates desire. The less you need approval, the more powerful your presence becomes. By the end of this video, you'll understand the core mindset that reverses the usual dynamic, one where women naturally begin to pursue you. Through stoic discipline, emotional clarity, and quiet strength, you'll see how to embody the qualities that make 95.7% of women instinctively drawn to your composure. Stay with me as we uncover how stillness, purpose, and control transform attraction from effort into gravity. Confidence without validation. Confidence rooted in Stoicism is entirely different from the performative confidence most people try to project. It doesn't come from external approval, appearance, or attention. It comes from an internal certainty built on discipline and self-respect. A Stoic man understands that validation is fleeting. Relying on it makes one emotionally fragile. True confidence is quiet because it has nothing to prove. It's the calm assurance that your worth doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's perception. Women instinctively recognize and respond to this kind of confidence because it represents emotional strength, the kind that can't be shaken by rejection or praise. Psychology explains that people who exhibit self-determined confidence create stronger attraction because they radiate independence. When your emotions and sense of identity aren't tied to approval, you become unpredictable in the best way. You stop reacting to external cues, and that unpredictability fuels curiosity. The man who doesn't chase admiration stands out precisely because he doesn't need it. His focus is directed inward on his principles, growth, and peace. That self-assuredness draws others toward him effortlessly. This mindset also shifts how you communicate. Instead of trying to impress, you engage authentically. You speak with clarity and restraint, never oversharing or trying to fill silence. You listen without expectation, and when you speak, your words carry weight. This emotional independence gives your presence gravity, the kind that makes people lean in when you talk. Ultimately, confidence without validation is the most magnetic trait a man can develop. It's not arrogance, it's quiet authority. When you are content with yourself, you stop competing for attention and begin commanding it naturally. This composure, rooted in inner peace rather than ego, is what makes women chase. Not because you're distant, but because your sense of self is untouchable. Emotional control over reaction. Stoicism teaches that the strongest man is not the one who feels nothing, but the one who refuses to be ruled by his emotions. Emotional control is the foundation of presence, power, and attraction. Psychology supports this. People instinctively trust and admire those who remain composed under stress. When a man maintains his calm while others react impulsively, it signals depth, intelligence, and self-mastery. Women in particular are drawn to this form of emotional steadiness because it represents protection and reliability, qualities tied to psychological security. In daily interactions, emotional control is tested constantly. When faced with rejection, challenge, or emotional tension, the Stoic man pauses before responding. This pause is his strength. It communicates that he is guided by reason, not ego. Instead of arguing, he observes. Instead of seeking to win, he seeks to understand. That quiet restraint is more powerful than any display of dominance, because it shifts the balance of influence. The calm one becomes the one in control. Stoicism's focus on emotional regulation also prevents overreaction in attraction dynamics. When a woman tests your patience or creates emotional distance, the average man responds with anxiety or pursuit. The Stoic man, however, remains unshaken. He recognizes that her actions are part of natural emotional fluctuation, not personal rejection. This patience and composure make him stand out. He becomes the steady center in her emotional storm. True strength lies not in the ability to control others, but in mastering your own impulses. When your emotions serve you instead of enslaving you, you project quiet dominance. That psychological stability, calm eyes, composed tone, deliberate speech, becomes a magnet for feminine energy. In a world of overreaction and chaos, the man who responds with calm awareness will always hold the greatest power. The magnetic power of detachment. At the core of Stoic attraction lies one timeless truth. The more detached you are from external validation, the more powerful your presence becomes. Detachment doesn't mean indifference or emotional coldness. It means freedom from need. A man who does not rely on approval, attention, or affection to define his worth naturally radiates confidence. Psychology refers to this as non-contingent self-esteem, a deep inner stability that cannot be influenced by others' opinions. Women, consciously or not, are drawn to this stability because it signals control, self-mastery, and emotional safety. When a man operates from detachment, he becomes unpredictable in the most compelling way. Unlike those who chase validation or overinvest emotionally, he remains calm, centered, and unaffected. This unpredictability creates a psychological contrast that stimulates intrigue. In female psychology, attraction often grows from emotional tension, the balance between accessibility and mystery. Detachment amplifies that tension by showing that your emotions are self-regulated, not dependent on her behavior. However, true detachment is not about ignoring emotion, it's about managing it with awareness. The Stoic man observes his feelings but doesn't let them dictate his actions. He can feel desire without being ruled by it, express interest without losing composure, and engage deeply without surrendering self-control. This equilibrium between emotion and discipline makes him stand out in a world full of impulsive reactions. Ultimately, detachment is magnetic because it represents power. The power to remain calm under emotional pressure, to act with purpose rather than impulse, and to value peace over pursuit. When a woman encounters this kind of steadiness, she feels both challenged and comforted. It's not arrogance she responds to, but the quiet authority of a man who needs nothing, yet offers everything through his presence. Calm presence that commands respect. Presence, when refined through Stoic discipline, carries more influence than any attempt to impress. A calm, centered man doesn't need to dominate a room. His quiet steadiness does it for him. Psychology defines this as emotional attunement, the ability to stay balanced regardless of the emotional energy around you. In social and romantic dynamics, this trait creates a gravitational pull. Women instinctively feel drawn to men who project stability because calmness signals strength, safety, and certainty, qualities that foster trust and fascination simultaneously. Stoicism teaches that calm is not passive, it's controlled awareness. A man with this kind of presence observes more than he speaks, responds more than he reacts, and maintains inner clarity when others are overwhelmed by emotion. This composure creates what behavioral experts call contrast attraction. When your emotional tone is grounded in stillness, it amplifies the energy of those around you. Women feel this contrast acutely. Your calmness highlights their liveliness, making the interaction feel dynamic and emotionally balanced. True presence also communicates respect. When you engage without distraction, when your words are few but measured, you show that your attention is valuable. That kind of focus has power. It transforms ordinary moments into meaningful exchanges. People remember how they felt in your presence, not what you said. And calm, grounded energy leaves a lasting imprint. Ultimately, commanding respect through calm presence is not about control over others, but about mastery of self. The man who remains steady amid chaos becomes an anchor in every environment. Women chase that stability not out of dependence, but attraction. Because in a world full of noise and insecurity, stillness feels like strength, turning Stoic discipline into attraction. Stoicism, when lived rather than spoken, becomes one of the most magnetic forces in human behavior. Discipline, in thought, action, and emotion, shapes not only how a man sees the world, but how the world responds to him. Psychology calls this predictable consistency, the ability to remain steady in values and behavior regardless of external chaos. This kind of reliability breeds trust, and trust over time becomes attraction. Women are drawn to disciplined men because discipline communicates purpose, and purpose communicates power. Discipline also transforms desire into focus. Instead of chasing affection or reacting to rejection, the Stoic man channels his energy toward mastery of his craft, body, and mind. This quiet pursuit of excellence creates a natural aura of confidence. When a man respects his own time, his boundaries, and his peace, he sends an unspoken message: I am fulfilled within myself. That self-containment is rare, and rarity amplifies value. Moreover, Stoic discipline prevents emotional volatility, one of the biggest repellents in attraction. The man who practices discipline doesn't swing between extremes of interest and detachment. He remains balanced. Women perceive this steadiness as emotional strength, something they can trust and admire. It's the psychological equivalent of gravity, subtle, constant, and impossible to ignore. In essence, discipline is the visible proof of inner strength. It's not about suppression, but mastery. Mastery that turns restraint into power and self-control into charisma. When you embody this discipline, attraction ceases to be a pursuit. It becomes a natural consequence of who you are. The Stoic man doesn't chase. He simply lives with purpose, and in doing so, he makes others chase the peace they feel in his presence. The truth behind why 95.7% of women chase men with Stoic energy is simple. Power is silent, not loud. When you no longer seek to impress, defend, or persuade, you move differently. Your calm presence, emotional discipline, and independence form a gravitational pull that others naturally feel. Women, in particular, are drawn to men whose stability offers both mystery and safety. This isn't a trick of psychology. It's human nature responding to balance. The Stoic man embodies peace in a world of noise, and peace is always irresistible. The essence of attraction, as both Stoicism and psychology reveal, lies in control of the self. You cannot master relationships until you master reaction. You cannot inspire respect until you respect your own boundaries. and you cannot create desire until you detach from the need to be desired. Once your happiness depends solely on your principle, not approval, everything shifts. Your presence becomes both commanding and comforting, a rare combination that instantly distinguishes you from the rest. In the end, the shocking truth is that Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It's about owning it. When you move with purpose, stay composed under pressure, and value peace over validation, you become the man others seek without understanding why. The chase begins not because you demand attention, but because your self-mastery makes attention inevitable. The Stoic man doesn't pursue. He attracts effortlessly through the quiet strength of discipline and the undeniable magnetism of inner calm.